Welcome to YYC Business Speed Dating with Magic Mike. Book your free business video spotlight at YYCbusinessspeeddating.com.
Welcome to Season 2, Episode 7 of Business Speed Dating with MagicMike.com. Today's guest is Freeman Beals from FreemanBeals.com.
Hi, my name is Mike Duffy, author of Brand Sharks, Unstoppable Strategies for Business Leaders. I'm also producer of MupoEntertainment.com's technology show, Don't Get Hacked, Call Me for Help, and founder of Calgary cybersecurity startup, DontGetHacked.ca. Welcome to YYC Business Speed Dating with Magic Mike. That's me. My guest today on Business Speed Date is fellow Calgarian Freeman Beals. I said, pronounce your name properly?
You got it 100%,
awesome,
man.
Perfect. Freeman, look at the camera and explain exactly what you do.
For sure. Thanks, Mike, for having me. Like you said, my name is Freeman Beals. I'm a stress management coach. So I work with CEOs and executives, really high achievers, helping them manage their stress so that they can get the most out of all their time and all their focus.
All right. Who exactly is your ideal client type? Is those executives you're referring to?
Yeah. So I like to aim at sort of, like I said, the CEO executive level.
Okay.
Generally speaking, it's people who are high achievers. So in the stress management world, you kind of have some differing opinions on things. A lot of people try to remove stress entirely, whereas for people who are driven and who work hard, and that's part of their identity, certain stress techniques won't work for them because it takes much time out of their day.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I want to work with people who are driven, who are motivated, but they just want to have more control over that stress so that they can be even more optimized than they would be otherwise. So that's really kind of the people I aim at.
Okay. So what's the favorite part of this coaching that you do?
Such a good question. My favorite part is seeing the transformation happen.
Oh, yeah.
So seeing people who are, burned out and they lose that mental clarity, and then through the program, you can see it kind of change, and they're like, "Oh, I'm getting more done. I'm being more productive with my time." And they're just happier overall, right? They're happier, they're healthier. You can see that light comes back on behind their eyes. For some people, they get that passion back for what they were doing, which they might have lost because they were just, stressed and going too hard.
So are you doing this like virtual coaching, or is it in person or hybrid? Or
Yeah, right now it's all virtual.
Okay. Okay.
It's easy again for the people that I tend to talk to. I like to make it easy for them because asking them to come somewhere and disrupt their day adds stress to their lives, right? Where it's like, cool, hop on a call with me for an hour a week. WhatsApp me if you need to. Let's make it as easy and seamless as possible for them.
And what's your so since it's virtual, then you're not really limited to a service area. Are you currently is the client base like Alberta, Western Canada, all over the place?
Global. Yeah.
Global right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is again, because of the global market, I want people to be able to access that wherever they are.
That's
and
cool.
If they go on a business trip and then you need to WhatsApp me or whatever, right? Like they got a big speech and right before the speech, oh, I'm not feeling great. Send me a message, send me a voice message.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, it needs to be frictionless.
That's what I end up doing. I get customers in Calgary, but they travel all over the place. And they're like, Mike, the tech's not working. It's like, okay, if it's hotel Wi-Fi, VPN, there's just something, people get stressed out and then the day just ends because they can't get their stuff accomplished. And of course, since I'm dealing with tech, people are usually traveling with their tech. Sometimes it's personal pleasure and sometimes it's work related. And it's like, okay, stranded up in Yellowknife at the diamond mine, nothing works. And I'm like, what devices do you have? Let's see if we can get something working. Right?
Yeah.
So it's beauty of the coaching because I'm like, I fix computers, but I'm really a technology coach at the end of the day, right?
Yep.
So,
yeah. Very similar kind of position where you're walking people through.
I'm not saying I'm going to reduce their stress through technology because usually technology brings the stress.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different gadgets and blah, 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 blah. Right?
It's all new.
I feel you.
Yeah.
How long have you been a stress management or reduction coach?
Yeah. So professionally, I'm looking at about a couple months now in a professional sense. How long have I actually been kind of helping people sort of optimize their lives? It's been years.
Okay.
I was always the one that people would call in my friend group, my family group, and say, "Hey, I have this problem. How do I fix it? How do I deal with this?" I was always that level-headed individual in the group of people I knew. So when kind of
calculated.
calculated,
Sounds
exactly,
like me.
exactly, yeah. So when I began to look at really understanding myself and understanding how I was doing that, how I was being calm and collected, and how I rationalized things, when I began to look at that, I began to realize this is something that I can not only just help people with, but give them the information to do themselves. So that's when I started pivoting into actually professionally coaching people.
So what sparked the, like, I'm assuming you're doing it full time now the last couple of months.
Still part-time right now.
Still part-time.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your profession, how much of your work, like, do you have any paperwork left, or is it all electronic?
It's all electronic.
It's all electronic. 'Cause
Everything is
your
online.
Notes, and then obviously if you're doing coaching, it's all
phone
apps or whatever. So.
Yeah, I take notes personally when I'm on calls with people, on a notepad with me, because that's how my brain thinks the best.
Yeah.
I encourage my clients to do whatever works best for them. Some people, a big thing is writing down your thoughts, your problems, your things, getting them out of your head and onto a piece of paper. So for some people, that's literally a piece of paper. Some people, it's easy to do on their phone. Some people do it voice memos. It just really depends on the person.
Yeah, I find a lot of people like still do like paperwork. I'm like, it's perfect. Notes, map it out, how stuff works. And then you can just I say, give me that list, because I want to work. We got to get a couple easy wins.
Exactly.
A couple easy wins. And then that big thing, we're going to handle it. But we're going to get those couple easy wins.
Get the momentum rolling.
Reduce the stress. I deal with tech, and I'm like, there's 30 things wrong. Can we knock off about 15 easy ones?
Yeah.
And then they trust you, and then it's just much easier to get their, their full cooperation to do what we need to get to. So
exactly, yeah.
So since it's all your stuff's electronic, do you run into technology issues from time to time?
From time to time, yeah. I try to ensure that I have backup in a sense, right? So, for example, if my Wi-Fi goes down and I have to talk to a client, I can hotspot from my phone, right? Stuff like that. But for the most part, not too many.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number one thing I tell people, I'm like, always have the biggest data plan on your phone possible.
Yes, that's exactly what I've done.
No matter if home internet's down, office internet's down, hotel internet's down, if you've got cell plan, especially if you're like overseas, I know you can get really affordable plans now. I'm like, just gonna say it like, I remember traveling before, really, with cell phones, and when you couldn't get data, and you'd be like, Florida, California, wherever, and you're like, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
I need internet to at least clear my mind and look up some solutions to, rent a car broke down, this. I'm like, I remember big cell phone bills back in like 10, 15 years ago. And you're like, internet does not work on Blackberries in the US. I have to call people, and
the roaming would be through the roof.
Oh yeah,
so like, we're gonna charge you
$1,000 BlackBerry bill, 2008, when we broke down in Idaho Falls, Idaho, with our Volkswagen Beetle, because I was calling people and I was like, I have no internet on this BlackBerry, and I can't send emails, and I have to, break down on a Friday. Think this road trip's over. What are you gonna do? Well, you gotta phone people and get the job done.
Yeah.
So if I would have traveled without a cell phone,
you'd have been toast. I remember trying to find cafes and stuff like that to get on the internet.
Oh, yeah. I remember like trips in 2005, 2006, 2008. I think we finally had, 2009 was when we got the first iPhone, I think. And then realized that you couldn't, like, oh, perfect. I can go on a cruise, do all of our online banking, and then realize online banking websites didn't work with iPhone 3G.
They weren't optimized. Yeah.
No radio buttons.
Oh.
Radio buttons weren't supported back then.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we can't even check into our flight from the iPhone.
Do that thing we have to like zoom in to find the little button. Yeah, I've been there.
And then you go on a trip and you take multiple cameras because somebody's going to do something stupid, break one, lose one, not pack enough batteries. SD cards are going to fail. I went to Europe with like 3 cameras, 2 GPSs, Scotty vest, all packed up with gear. And I had to use every single thing because I was gone for 3 weeks.
Oh, man.
And then people laughed at me. And then they went and got,
the same thing.
theft or stole something, lose stuff. And they're like, I lost everything. I'm like, that's why you have backups. It doesn't matter if it's computer data, gadgets, whatever.
Yeah.
You need a backup plan. That's what the chapter of my book's about. Having a plan. Just be prepared.
Yeah.
And if you don't need to use your backup plan, awesome. But it reduces your stress completely.
Exactly. And I think that's the big thing there. Like, if you have a backup plan, you then don't have to worry about the other stuff as much. And that's what's so incredible with that. When you make that extra mental space for yourself, That's why you get more creative and you get more energy, because you've actually created mental space in your brain and in your life
And
to do more.
did anybody really tell us how to adult?
No, I didn't. Nobody told me.
We learned from our parents and what not to do.
I learned a lot what not to do.
Yeah,
there was a lot of
learned
not.
a lot, but I'm like, I grew up in a little town. I didn't grow up in the big
Yep.
city. Completely different dynamics. Little town, you got different resources compared to big city, right?
Yeah.
And now it's plan.
I feel you there.
So when it comes to your own technology, are you a do-it-yourselfer?
100%.
100%.
I'm a
Perfect.
DIY.
Because I feel that's what everybody's kind of becoming now.
Yeah.
And of course, last couple of years with COVID and being locked in at home, blah, blah, blah. I just feel like it's my competition's do-it-yourselfers, right?
Yep. 100%.
But I'm like, that's why we need to have a conversation. So if you need anything handled, you know who to call, just in case YouTube doesn't help you out, right? So I think that's the rest of my questions. It was really just ending on the tech stuff. So is there any for the audience who will be watching this when it's put up on the internet, if they need a stress reduction coach, how do they get a hold of you?
So the best place to find me is on my socials. So you can find me everywhere at Freeman Beals, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and all that stuff.
Okay.
Or my website, which is freemanbeals.com.
Okay.
So
Because I'll drop a end card with the links to everything. Any final words of wisdom or stress reduction tips for people who are watching?
Yeah.
You know they're going to do it themselves before they call a professional.
100%. And I encourage people to start digging around, start doing the research to find tactics and skills that you think might help you, because ultimately you can try those things and then you can come to a coach, whether it be me or somebody else, and you've already tried some things. You know what works, what doesn't work. Maybe you just need some support or some new fresh ideas. So definitely go start looking, seeing what you can find. For myself, there are kind of 3 big things, in my opinion, that people can start doing. They're easy, make a huge difference. The first one is to write 3 things down each day that went well. So at the end of your day, piece of paper, a marker on your forehead. I don't care how you do it. Just write 3 things down. Don't make it complicated. It could be a sandwich you ate that was good, a good cup of coffee, a good lunch date. Doesn't matter. Write them down. This begins to train the neural pathways in your brain to recognize positive things in life. And it actually begins to help your mental, your physical, everything.
You want those wins.
Exactly. Yeah, it's huge. There's amazing studies on that. So that's the first one. The second one is get stuff out of your head. Write it down. Make lists, make to-do lists, even negative things, stressors, write them out. Get it out of your brain so you can rationalize with it. And the third one is practicing gratitude. So find ways to practice gratitude throughout your day, whether it be when you first wake up, at the end of the day, throughout the day. Practicing gratitude allows you to be present and appreciate the things you have.
Awesome.
So those are
my
3 things.
Yay. Good tips. I practice that on a regular basis.
Nice.
I've gone through business. I've been gone through 10x coaching through Grant Cardone.
Yep.
So it's pretty, everybody's kind of got a little bit different, but those are exactly the steps. It's like write everything down and plan out your day ahead of time, just because backup plans, right?
Yeah.
You just need to know, because not every day is going to be perfect.
No, unfortunately, not.
And especially when you're you want to be a high performance individual, because, I'm running a tech company, right? And I had a franchise before, and now it's a startup tech company, and I'm not doing it all myself, but I'm like, okay, building it from scratch. And you're just like, okay, which professionals do you want to deal with that do this? Totally. And there's so much information. And then you're like, okay, what works best for me? What can I ignore until I get to that next hurdle?
Yes.
Because then you're going to have to, change something up.
100%. Yeah. And we always overly rely on the ability of our brain to remember things. Oh, yeah. And it doesn't do that really well. Like, it's not great at that.
Well, I know that I can store a ton of stuff, but if I get hit with food poisoning like I did the last week of March, 4 days gone, just completely wiped out because I could not even do anything. Then a head cold, you're just like, 3 or 4 productive hours, maybe 6 productive hours in a day. And then you're just like, I got to rest.
Yeah, your brain.
And I'm usually doing 12, 14-hour days. So it's a huge shift, because now I'm like, okay, I'm not getting back to people as quick as I usually do. That's why I have a call center, but not everybody calls a call center. Sometimes it's text messages and emails. And like, I need to respond, but I need to do it in a non-stressed out way.
Yes.
Because when it's text messages or DMs or whatever, people don't get the context or the tone. And
Yeah, taking that
People
extra
come off bitchy sometimes.
Yeah, totally. Taking that extra 30 seconds
Because they're stressed. Because
Yeah.
people call me when they're stressed. They don't usually call me when they're in a good
You
mood.
probably, nobody
It's
calls
like-
Mike and goes, Mike, I feel great about my technology right now. Probably
It's like,
doesn't
I bought
happen to
something
you.
new, and we spent 3 days setting it up, and it still doesn't work. Like, and then check it out the window.
Yeah.
I said that in a nice positive way, but usually it's paragraphs of text messages. I'm like, I
Yeah.
haven't even talked to you in 6 months. How's it going?
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, can you be here tomorrow 9 a.m.? I'm just going to say yes and make sure it works, because if I say no, then oh wait, people are do it yourself or
throw it out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or shift to, or start calling. I can't say Yellow Pages anymore. They go into Google and start looking to figure out who can help them out quicker, right?
Exactly.
So it's still going to deal with the instant gratification.
100%.
And I'm betting in stress management, you're dealing with that same thing.
Yeah, I mean, the world revolves around instant gratification now.
Yeah.
That amazing formula of how you have a problem you can solve, how fast can you solve the problem? And that is what increases with value, right? So
yeah, because I know that
time is money. So
I learned when I was running my franchise, where it used to be like people would just call and book stuff a week or 2 or 3 weeks in advance.
Now it's
days. And
days.
then so we're like, okay, perfect. We'd always have a calendar. I know doctors, like some professions still have calendars booked 9 months in advance.
Yeah.
Right. There's going to be still those individuals. But with the service industry, I find it's like now. And it's like, okay. And it really happened during COVID. But it was fun because I was like, hey, somebody's called me. I'm going to go out.
Yeah.
Because I've been waiting. Not that I was waiting, but, you're working on other business stuff. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, I'm leaving now to go do it.
Yeah.
Never really happened before that. It was always booked out far in advance. So
yeah, we can thank Amazon for that. For sure.
Yeah. 1 day, 2 day Prime shipping. And you're like,
they knew what they were doing.
4 days. Where is it?
Yeah. I remember waiting weeks for months for stuff to come in the mail. I grew up small town like you did. So I
lived 9 hours north of Winnipeg. So, and everything came up on Greyhound.
Yep. That's how it came to my hometown.
And when you, like the first computers, when we got them in 93, 94, it was shipped up to us and sent back 3 times.
Wow.
And then that's when I realized I had to become my own computer technician, because a computer put in a box on a Greyhound bus, 9 hours north, plus going through how many ever other stops, being
pushed around.
You've seen luggage thrown off of planes. Well, I'm just wondering how it happens with the Greyhounds. So every time you got a computer, it wouldn't turn on and wouldn't work. And by the 4th time, my dad's like, just take the whole thing apart,
build it up,
and put it back together and reseat all the components.
Yeah.
And then my cousin 2 hours away, he's like, this is the trick. You hot glue everything in. That was the build quality of engineering in motherboards in 1993.
They didn't have like the nice clips and they
sit
there.
Really? It was, you seat it in, and he's like, once it's seated in, you turn it on, just hot glue the card into the motherboard. And it's like, and then I saw that go on for probably about a good decade.
I was going to say a decade.
And then you start getting clips, locking clips and stuff like that. But back with the beige computer.
Yep.
1993 would have been the first Pentium 60s, Intel Pentium 60s. So that's when my computer career started. That's when my stuff started, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you're the first kid on the block with a computer in 1993. No internet, no computer books at the library, because you're literally up in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And nobody else in the town had a computer until about a year later. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Just start playing with it.
Again,
Windows 3.1. How many floppy disks did
it take to install that? Probably too many.
Probably a couple dozen.
Yeah.
One at a time.
Yeah.
So
again, it just makes me feel so grateful with the way that we have technology now. The fact that I can Google something on my phone and have an answer is
whether or not it's accurate is the good do a little bit of research. But
yeah.
I know a lot of people are like, why is Costco not open when it says it is? And I don't rely on Google Maps. Go to their website, please.
Yeah.
So, but you got to realize Google's not, Google sends an email to the business owner confirming the holiday hour. So when I get those, I'm like, my phone number says 24/7. So I put 24/7 every day of the week because I don't want to lose bit. But the other franchise, I knew that they advertised Monday to Friday 24/7, and then we'd have business orders in Calgary, call tax.
Yeah.
How much business did we lose? And I'm like, I'm paying for this
service.
So I'm like, I have to go and start it from scratch and build it the way I expect service-oriented company to be in the year 2020.
Yep.
Now it's 3 years later, right? So
there you go. What's it going to be in 3 years from now?
It's going to be the technology, right?
It just keeps going faster and faster.
So we'll see what social networks exist then and what type of. I'm thinking everybody's really going to be a specialty coach.
Yes, you see a lot more of that happening. It's why I'm such a big advocate of getting used to things changing, getting comfortable with that, and understanding how to deal with it, because it's going to keep happening. It's going to happen more and more.
Well, and then
There's no escaping it.
Because my wife's from the fitness industry, right? So she was trained as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I think COVID happened. Well, even before that, it was just that, so we've got to just try to do online stuff, right? And she's like, just people reach out for, and it's not just yoga. Sometimes it's meditation, stretching, this, and this, right? And I'm like, I told her, I'm like, you have to find your tribe.
Yeah.
And then just keep nurturing the tribe.
Yeah.
So of course, because she's got like handmade products she sells and essential oils and all that. I'm like, you find your tribe that likes your advice. You got to find them, educate them, have online content for them, and have personal, and like, I'm like, it's no longer people. It's not. She used to do like, work at yoga studios in the city where you'd have 20, 30, 40 people show up for class. I'm like, I just don't. And that kind of died even before when we were like,
Yeah.
Because everybody was shifting. Oh, I went from yoga to spin to this.
It's convenience though, right?
To the other type of classes. I'm like, you just need to be well-versed, well-rounded, have a bunch of different options for them. And then, people are going to be asking you for different stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, help them with their yoga stretches. And then you're going to have to give them some adulting advice. Right?
That's a good way.
Which is the stress management. It's really the stress
it.
management. It's like, okay, because people will be like, I got this problem in my life, this, and this, and this. And you realize people don't have the coping mechanisms to deal. It's like one adult kid is sick, that's fine. But like 3 of them that somebody's had a heart attack and this and this and this. It's like, here's some essential oils, here's the bath salts, go do this, go do this, go do this.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God, this helps so much. And I'm like, see, and once you have products that you can supply them with, then it's like, okay, you got 4 people, grow that to 10, grow that to 15, grow that to 20. Because really, when I had the franchise, we had just clients come to us, and now building this business, I'm like, I had to start my client base from scratch
again.
And not everybody's and everybody who calls me and where I fix their computer, they're not always going to be return customers, because you're going to have that customer churn.
Yeah.
So you can't get offended if people don't like your prices or your advice or the way you look or the way you smell or whatever the case may be, right? But it's just like you keep going out and finding more people, and you're going to click with certain ones, and other ones you're like, I really want to be your friend, and I'm trying a little bit too hard. So I'm just going to back up a little bit, and we'll see if we reconnect in a year or two when you need the next tech fix.
Yeah.
Or the next piece of advice, right? Because everybody's got somebody chirping in their ear about technology or the best way to do this or the best way to do this. And it's based on their experiences. May not be good advice, but you won't.
Which the thing is,
you can't help everybody, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can give them advice. It's like parents giving children advice. Well, you can say, well, the children still need to, you may shave a little bit of hurt off their life, but they're still going to have to,
they're still going to
go
have to
out and do those
way.
dangerous things.
100%.
And okay, mom and dad were right.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah.
Right?
Mom and dad were right.
15 years to figure out that they were right. Some people learn quicker and some are slower. And then I was like, okay, but then you realize the children are the clones of the parents. So they're going to take that same, you might do the shortcut stuff a little bit, but not the advice. But that's why people are like, okay, all this advice has been given by everybody else doesn't work. What do you have to say, Mike? And I'm like, let me look at it. I just love it when people say, nobody can fix this. What do you think? I'm like, oh, here's all the things I see wrong with it. They're like, nobody's ever brought that up. Yeah. And I'm like, send this to your tech people and see what they say. And then they never respond. And the customer's like, I'm just going to pass it by you first.
Yeah.
It's since I've been meeting a lot of new people with the new company name and the podcast is like, I can see because I know there's a ton of tech guys out there, and some have a huge amount, like this, decades worth of knowledge like me, but I'm like, whether or not they've tested their knowledge on more than 5 or 10 customers. I ran a franchise where I dealt with everybody in the city of Calgary.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, A or B may be the number one and number two option, but those they're not the proper solutions. They're just like the quick, easy Band-Aid fixes.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want something that's really going to stick, we go with this. Yeah, it may cost a little bit more money, but I'm like, you're going to be stress-free.
It's going to work. Yeah.
And you're not going to be asking me every 6 months for the update or the fix or whatever. I'm like, I just like stuff that works because at the end of the day, I want more happy customers and less unhappy customers.
Yeah, you're in a very similar boat as I am, where ultimately my clients would never have to use me again. That's my goal, which is very similar to you, right? You want to set them up to have a solution that will work indefinitely for them. Well, until technology changes.
Well, I know, that's why I tell them. I tell them, I'm like, rather than charging you big bucks, hundreds or thousands of dollars for this, I'm like, I want us to do this, and we're just going to pay you that monthly retainer, and then we're just going to see the progress of how you adapt and how your business. Because at the end of the day, if I know all the stuff you're doing, I'll be like, okay, avoid this marketing company, avoid this website technology because there's no way to back it up, right? And don't do do this and don't do this, and then we'll just see, because there's always going to be something flashy out there, new tech, new product. You go to a networking group and somebody's like, oh, I can build you this for this, and it's going to give you thousands of leads.
That's the big pitch right now, isn't it?
Leads, I know, because that's been my goal since 2019 is finding leads on autopilot for my business, and I still have not figured it out.
I think it's leads on autopilot is not something that I mean, I don't want to say not, because I feel like I don't want to say it's 100% one thing, but hiring a company to give you leads on autopilot is not necessarily the answer. It's a lot more about branding and what your marketing looks like, what the information you're putting out on social.
It's just it's the outreach, right? It's like it's either cold calling or cold messaging or blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I know I've gone through a lot of marketing companies in the last couple of years. It's like, all right, what they tell you they're going to do versus what actually the reality is, right? So
can be two very different things.
And then somebody's like, oh, well, you were talking to me 6 months ago on Facebook and you just stopped. And I was like, because you weren't interested. But if you're interested now, I'll help you.
Yeah.
You got to just like check base with these internet people you've met. They just see, because something, with tech, they don't need you until shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Then they need you. So you still need to.
That's funny because
I had one today. I had one today. It came up and he's like, I don't want your pitches anymore. And it's like, we know all the same mutual people. So I'm not trying to pitch you, but you asked me what I did. I'm like, here's the website. Here's all the services. And I know you're kind of in the website building, blah, blah, blah. And he's trying to pitch me on funnels. And I've been through funnels. And I was like, no, thank you. I'm not, no, landing page is fine. And then if people, because with my service is more I can give you pricing, but that pricing may not actually be what you need.
Yes.
Right. Because I'm like, yeah, it's just, going to a restaurant, well, it's fine. You got food items and you have prices, and then you can choose what you want to eat. But when it comes to tech, it's like, well, you can look at that price on my website, but if I don't feel like that's in your best interest, I'm going to give you 4 options.
Yeah.
Here's what you do. And you may have been looking at that $249 price, but it's really like $2,000 of service you really need.
Yeah.
You still got to have the pitch and then the, objection handling and all that fun stuff that goes into it. But you still need to reach out to these people once in a while.
100%.
And, you got to figure out what type of communication they like. Because sometimes it's cards in the mail. Sometimes it's email. Sometimes it's emoticons once a month on DMs. I know that for certain because I've got certain clients.
Just a little smiley face every 2 weeks.
Or they post stuff. And then you're like, oh, they're posting so much content and nobody likes it or commented. So I just go do it just because I'm like, hey, if I'm posting stuff, I at least want to like.
Of course. Yeah, 1 or 2 would be nice.
Right. And then, 6 months, 9 months, a year later, they're like, hey, my laptop doesn't work. I don't know anybody. I'm like, but there's no instant gratification. It's like the sales cycle as a coach. It can be years.
Yep. You have to build trust.
There's certain people done now, perfect.
Yeah.
And then other ones, I'm like, I talked to you 3 years ago. I did a little tiny service for you. How's it going? They're like, oh my God, how did you know I was about to fire the whole IT staff? And I'm like, I'm just doing a normal check-in.
I'm just doing my routinely follow-ups.
And it's been 3 years since I talked to you. Yeah. So what can I help you with?
Yeah.
Right? They're like, I wasn't even going to reach out to you, but since you're DMing me once in a while, I'll reach out to you. And I'm like, that's the whole point.
Shows how important relationships are.
But then some are like, no, stop talking to me. I'm like, okay, talk to you again a year.
Yeah,
a
put in my,
reminder.
yeah.
How you doing? How are the kids? How's the wife? How's the family? How's this? Or you know, whatever. I'm like, oh, I like that picture. Oh, I took it 6 years ago. I'm like, man, you're reusing content from 6 years ago.
Perfect. Good. No, it's. I think it's. I mean, this goes back to the instant gratification thing, and people with success and with selling, they think that they have to get it all tomorrow, right? With like what you're saying, it's like no, like it's a.
Well, I know. It's sometimes I can give you instant gratification tomorrow if your computer's slow and we upgrade you to solid state. I know I could do that within 6-12 hours.
Sure,
but sometimes there's multiple stakeholders, decision makers to make happy. You know, if it's a one-person solo entrepreneur, it's pretty easy to transform that.
Yeah, a couple days.
But, you know, 5, 10, 15, 20-person business, it can be years because you see what they're using and it doesn't work, but they think it works until they have the major meltdown every 6 months. And I'm like, this is because you're using residential grade stuff and you should be using commercial grade stuff. And no IT guy has told you that it's going to be $30, $40, $50, $60, $100,000 to upgrade.
Yeah.
I've been through all those projects, but of course you got to relate to people and understand their concerns. And then you're like, well, everything can be leased. Then of course you sell everybody on something and then you still got to get past their accounting team.
Yeah. Which can often be the biggest hurdle.
Oh yeah, because you don't understand what's going on the accounting side of stuff. Because sometimes you're like, oh wait, you're still paying for this stuff that you're not using.
Oof.
Yeah, welcome to Canadian Tire.
That hurts.
Because they've got all those now like self-checkout machines. But in case of self-checkout machines are down. They have the old terminals, and in case the old checkouts go down, they've got a second backup pretty much. But they're leasing all that stuff from IBM.
Oh,
so they know exactly how many sales per day they need to have
to pay for the thing. Yeah.
Right. And then of course you got to deal with inflationary costs and carbon taxes and all this stuff. So people are like, well, everything's getting more expensive. I'm like, well, it's because all these increases are trickling down from government measures. Yeah. And, for example, I know that a Canadian Tire store for 2023 across the board would have increased their store prices by 8%. And that's still not even combating. They're still losing money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So they're like, well, we don't want to price ourselves out of our, being favorable with our clients. Yeah. But you still get, so then you see there's certain other brands that they've picked up like Mark's Work Warehouse and Sport Check and Party City, businesses that have really low cost and huge markup.
Yeah. Better margins.
Like Party City, like crazy markup.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had to buy a lot of inventory when they bought Party City, but I think they got rid of all the backlog inventory in 2 years. They were thinking 5 years and they sold it off in 2 years.
Just dropped all the pricing. And
they just better store management, better sales items, and just promotion.
Marketing.
But
more marketing.
But with Party City, they're tied now into Triangle Rewards, and that is one of the most used reward systems in Canada. Because, Canadian Tire, when it was paper money, it was such a big thing that they were able to make so much money off Canadian Tire money. In previous decades, they were able to open up Canadian Tire Bank and then start. I've been in the Canadian Tire.
Yeah,
I'm not a shareholder, not a store owner. I just do their technology for a couple stores.
Yeah.
And I'm talking.
You get enough in.
Well, I'm talking to the business owner, right? Because when I'm looking at myself as a business, my business coaching from I'm gonna just hit end recording, or I might have to edit a 40-minute video.
Thank you for watching Season 2, Episode 7 of Business Speed Dating with MagicMike.com. Today's guest, Freeman Beals, who is an executive stress reduction coach. Check out his website, freemanbeals.com.